Greetings, everyone. This is a little bit of a cloudy day out here, but still, this is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. I can't keep track of how many weddings I've either officiated at or participated or attended in my lifetime, but a lot of times they start off with, "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here in the presence of God and these witnesses," and it goes on from there. But that doesn't have to be true just for a wedding. That's true for today. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here in the presence of God and you all as witnesses. So it's great for us to be together. I just have one quick little chapter I wanted to share, kind of as a word of encouragement from Psalm chapter 5. I'll kind of comment on it as we work our way through. It says, "To the chief musician with flutes, a psalm of David." So they had musical accompaniment, and as David shared the psalm, it wasn't just a poem that he wrote, it was an expression of his heart, and as it impacted his heart, they used it as a part of their worship. So let's have it as a part of our worship for today as well. "Give ear to my words, O Lord, consider my meditation. Give heed to the voice of my cry, my King and my God, for to you I will pray." It starts off with a very intimate expression between David and God, and it says his cry. So there's something weighing heavily on David's soul. And a lot of times we find things weighing heavily on our souls too. And so here David is crying heavily to the Lord, and he says, "To you I will pray." It's not to other substances I will run, to other people I will complain, but it is to you that I make my cry. My voice you shall hear in the morning, O Lord. In the morning I will direct it to you, and I will look up. I will look up. It's to God that I want to give my attention. It's to God that I pour out my heart. Do I do this perfectly all the time? No. But that's my focus. That's what I want to do. And I find as I do, everything, not so much circumstantially, but everything in my day, from perspective to how it turns out, works for the way that brings him glory. But also, it helps me see a perspective that I would have missed otherwise. Now, David had enemies in those days, far worse than we have today. He goes on to say in Psalm chapter 5 and verse 4, "You are not a God who takes pleasure in wickedness, nor shall evil dwell with you. The boastful shall not stand in your sight. You hate all the workers of iniquity. You shall destroy those who speak falsehood. The Lord abhors the bloodthirsty and the deceitful man." In summary here, David recognizes that the Lord takes pleasure only in that which is right, that which is evil. And we watch the news, we see conflicting information, we see people who are really set their heart against God anyway, or don't give him any credit or any recognition. But here David recognizes that they have their place before God, and they're not going to be victorious over him. God is always the victor here. David goes on and he says, I have to live in this environment that's evil and that's wicked. And then he makes a statement there that is sort of pivotal. It's kind of his stake in the sand here. He says, "But as for me, I will come into your house in the multitude of your mercies. In fear of you, I will worship toward your holy temple." Now, we can't come into God's physical dwelling right now, because that's the temple and we're not there. We think of our church building. That's not the church. That's just a church building. We all, as the people of God, are church. So we come into his temple. We are his temple individually. We are his temple collectively. So as we come together, whether it's online like this, or whether we go to a drive-in church, or however you happen to do that during this period of time, we come into his temple. "As for me," he says, "I will come into your house in the multitude of your mercy. In fear of you, I will worship toward your holy temple." The word fear doesn't really so much mean terror or dread. It means in reverential respect and honor. Then he makes a request. He makes kind of a twofold request here. He says, number one, "Lead me, O Lord, in your righteousness because of my enemies." This COVID virus is an enemy that we want to defeat. Other people who stand against God are enemies. We need to understand, though, that our responsibility is not to react like the world reacts. He says, lead me, O Lord, in your righteousness. So my response to the changes in which our culture has gone through is to be in righteousness. My response to other people is to be a righteous response, whether it's my own closest family or those surrounding me in the community, or maybe even strangers that I haven't even met yet. But he says, lead me, O Lord, in your righteousness because of my enemies. And then he says, kind of his second request here, make your way straight before my face. God, help me to see which way to go. Help me to slice through the stuff and do it right. Do the right thing the right way. Then David spends the next few verses, 9 and 10, talking about those that are evil, those that give no thought to God, those that don't even want to pursue his heart, kind of where they go and where they fit in or don't fit into God's plan. For there is no faithfulness in their mouth. Their inward part is destruction. Their throat is an open tomb. They flatter with their tongue. Pronounce them guilty, O God. Let them fall by their own counsels. Cast them out in the middle of their transgressions, for they have rebelled against you. We're told in Scripture to pray for our leaders, our governor, kind of locally, maybe even more local than that, our county commissioners, our mayor, our governor, our president, vice president. We're told to pray for those in authority over us. Whether you agree with their policies or not is irrelevant to what God's command is. Pray for those. Some may and some may not follow God's counsel. Pray that they do. Pray that they do. Pray that God will help them. For those that choose to set their heart against God, he's going to take care of them. You just do the right thing the right way. He's commanded us to pray for those in authority over us, and he will pronounce them guilty. They will fall by their own counsels because they rebelled against you, O God. Then verse 11 is sort of that contrastive conjunction. But, he says, let all those who rejoice put their trust in you. Let them ever shout for joy because you defend them. This is where the believer comes in. As we immovably put our faith in God, trust in him, we can shout for joy because you defend us. Let also who love your name be joyful in you. For you, O Lord, will bless the righteous. With favor you will surround him as with a shield. We are right in the center of God's hand. He's not forgotten about us. He doesn't neglect us. We are right where he wants us to be. As we follow him, we rejoice in him, we trust him, we praise him, and we share him with other people. Psalm 5, a beautiful short little psalm of how we respond and react in a time like this. I trust God blesses you with his word. Now, this is a midweek update coming up this Sunday on May 17th. We will be meeting at Mid-Valley Baptist Church. We will be meeting in our drive-in parking lot. We're not going to be able to be inside the building. If it's kind of inclement weather outside, the worship team will have to be inside or in the breezeway out in the driveway. But either way, we will be having church this Sunday, 10 o'clock in the morning at our drive-in church. We invite you to come if you can. If not, I'll try to get a video of that service uploaded a little bit later in the day. And so if you come there, just listen to the little FM transmitter on FM 89.1. We'll be broadcasting that locally, and you'll kind of get instructions from that. We will not be meeting inside the church building, so pull in the parking lot as normal. Whether you see the worship team or the motorhome out there or not, we invite you to come, tune your radios in, and we'll keep you posted, and we'll have a great day worshiping the Lord together. God bless you.